Aurora and Arthur Petrova, a Summery Saturday journey to Thurrock and Romford takes a turn. On Saturday, July 6, 2019, the sun is a malevolent, tepid eye, casting a humid glare over Springfield, where the air is thick and the Essex crows fly. Inside 33 Falmouth Road, the atmosphere is heavy with a scent so mega and bold. A breakfast of Balkan ornaments and spicy heat, a culinary story yet to be told. Petar, aged 48, adjusts his blue glasses and smooths his black hair with a weary sigh. His mind is already miles away, beneath a different West Midlands sky. Meanwhile, Maria, 42, gazes at him, her black hair caught in the morning light. She ignores the looms of chaos, though the coming move is a monumental fright. They eat with a frantic, ecstatic energy, oblivious to the juvenile storm brewing near, as the clock ticks down toward their departure, and the moment they must leave is here. This morning of ecstasy is the apple of my eye. Before the world begins to elate, before the elation fades into fury, and they succumb to a far more abysmal fate. The table is laden with naan, chicken curry, and a fluffy omelet for the pair. A breakfast that would make a common man falter, filling the humid morning air. Do you like the curry, Petar? It's a recipe I've curated to ensure our morning isn't devoid of spice, Maria says, her voice a soft hum against the cacophony of a house that isn't always nice. Petar nods, his focus on the dish, though his heart is in the city where he will soon maintain the pulpit. He is the future resident pastor, a man of faith who expects everyone to simply gulp it. He drives a black 2013 BMW estate with a sense of pride that some might call notorious. He is elated to demonstrate his leadership, believing the move to Birmingham will be glorious. He is exhilarated by the vision of the church, though he knows the move might infuriate the girl, causing a sudden exhalation of breath as their quiet Essex life begins to whirl. He reckoned the transition is a pinnacle of duty, a monumental shift for the entire breed, while ignoring the fact that his loquacious daughter is a very different sort of seed. Maria wears bright orange clothes and orange glasses to conceal the permanent, textured scarring on her skin. A legacy of the day she was 1.5 and accidentally tipped a boiling kettle, a battle she didn't win. It is an eyesore she prefers to hide, a tatter of her history that she has carefully coddled with bright fabric, as she prepares for a day of reunions, hoping the atmosphere doesn't turn too scabrous or tragic. Yadeshli, is it enough? She asks again in Bulgarian, her roots showing through the English veneer. She is a woman of immense strength, albeit sometimes petulant when the children's bickering is near. She prepares to leave, donning 2 different high-heeled shoes by mistake, a fashion error most profound, a mistake that could mar her distinguished superficies as she walks upon the Chelmsford ground. Aurora, which one is appropriate? She calls out, her voice echoing through the hallway's heat. The situation is exacerbated by the temperature, making the morning feel far from sweet. Aurora picks the left shoe, an arbitrary choice that Maria accepts, with a reluctant, weary nod, as they prepare to step outside and face a day that will be remarkably, intensely odd. Arthur, 11 and a half, skids into the kitchen, his green glasses reflecting the July light. He is the apple of his father's eye today, for he thinks the move to Birmingham is proper bright. Birmingham is mega. It's proper peak, Arthur shouts, his black hair a mess of unadulterated joy. He thinks of George Salter Academy, a place that will be the radiant start for a growing boy. He is ecstatic, his juvenile heart thumping with the dream of a city that is diverse and grand, ready to leave St. Albans Catholic Academy and find his place in a new and busy land. Petar smiles at his son, seeing a reflection of his own ambition in the boy's radiant, happy face. That's the spirit, son, Petar says, as they prepare to leave their current Essex-based place. Arthur is an early bird who catches the worm, always energetic and enthusiastic about the change, ready to retain his status as the favorite, even if his sister thinks the whole thing is strange. He remembers his infancy and infancy dreams, but now he is ready to alienate his sister further, as he imagines himself as a king in the city, causing his siblings' resentment to slowly murder. Aurora, nearly 13, stomps into the room, her pink glasses slipping down her nose as she feels the blow. Her long black hair is tied in a high ponytail with a fake fringe and pink clips that put on a show. Moving to Birmingham? You're joking, right? That place is clapped. It's a total shithole. Aurora screams. Her heart is breaking for her friends at the Boswell School and all of her London-based dreams. She loves the London diversity and the TfL buses, and leaving the East Country feels like a sentence of dread. I'm not fucking going, she roars, her loquacious tongue lashing out at everything that's been said. Maria sighs, the tension in her orange-clad shoulders tightening as she watches her daughter descend into a state of unadulterated and resentful fury that no amount of logic or kindness can ever mend. Aurora feels like an alien in her own home, and her plan to stay will likely backfire and fail, as Petar begins to demonstrate his absolute authority, making his daughter's face turn quite pale. He won't overlook this outburst, as opposed to her previous tantrums, which were minor and small. The girl is acting like a petulant nuisance, and he reckons she's headed for a monumental fall. Harlow, the female Dalmatian, trots into the kitchen with the grace of a princess who truly reckons she owns the house. Her coat is clean, her eyes are bright, and she moves with more dignity than a quiet church-going mouse. She is a steadfast companion who tolerates the family's nonsense with a refined and formal regal air, liking pink things and sparkles. But today she just wants a bit of peace and some much-needed care. I say, sir, Harlow barks in her formal English, her tail wagging with a rhythmic, meticulous, steady beat. The young lady is being rather loquacious and remarkably rude, especially in this blistering heat. Such a cacophony before noon is really quite beneath us. Don't you think, my dear and pastoral friend? I fear her juvenile screaming, and her foul-mouthed language is a trend that we really must end. Petar looks down at the dog, his blue glasses glinting with a momentary, uncharacteristic soft spot. You're right, Harlow, he mutters, as the kitchen atmosphere continues to grow increasingly hot. He will oppose any delay, as the day is already marred by Aurora's high-pitched and angry screams. He must confront the schedule, which should complement his plans, rather than ruining his dreams. Kiev, the ginger tabby cat, sits on the counter, his icy green eyes fixed on Aurora with sharp-witted disdain. He is an antagonist by nature, a nuisance who finds the children's noise a source of intolerable pain. Oh, do shut up, you notorious brat, Kiev purrs in his formal, biting, and incredibly cruel tone. Your screeching is a cacophony that makes my very fur crawl, and makes me wish I was left alone. I would much prefer it if you all simply fucked off to Birmingham now and left me to my grooming, rather than staying here in Springfield, where your juvenile tantrums are constantly, loudly blooming. Aurora glares at the cat, her ponytail shaking with her rage as she points a finger at his nose. Shut up, Kiev! You're just a stupid cat, she snaps, as her resentment for the animal grows. Kiev just blinks, his sensitive ears twitching at her outbursts, finding her presence a total exacerbation. He views the entire family as a collection of fools who lack any sense of meticulous moderation. The circumstance is inconsistent with a peaceful Saturday, and the variable moods are a dreadful sign that the journey to Thurrock and Romford will be anything but pleasant, easy, or fine. Get in the car, now! Petar commands, his voice a pastoral boom that leaves no room for debate. They pile into the black BMW estate as the heat outside continues to steadily, cruelly escalate. The leather seats are hot from the malevolent July sun, making the children squirm and the dogs pant. Arthur is still ecstatic, humming a tune as he buckles his seatbelt, while Aurora continues to rant. She sits in a silent, resentful huff, her pink glasses foggy from her tears and her deep inner strife, as she mourns the loss of her Essex friends and the end of her diverse and colorful London life. Petar shifts the car into gear, the engines roar a sharp contrast to the abysmal quiet mood inside. We have a schedule. We drop your mother in West Thurrock, and then it's Romford for a shopping ride. Unfortunately, the traffic is horrendous, and the heat is horrendously heavy on the long A13. Petar reckon they can make it if they avoid the accidents and keep the driving style clean. This is not the exemplary start he wanted, and he fears the day is already on the verge of turning dire as he grips the steering wheel and tries to suppress his growing, pastoral and righteous fire. They arrive in West Thurrock, an industrial landscape where the air is heavy and the heat is nearly too much, a place of concrete and warehouses that lacks any sense of a soft or a welcoming, natural touch. Maria is meeting friends for a reunion, her orange clothes a bright beacon against the lead-colored floor, as she prepares to socialize and reminisce about the Balkan life she lived once before. Be good for your father, Maria says, her orange glasses catching the glare of the unforgiving sun, as she steps out of the BMW, hoping that for her at least, the day might actually be a little bit fun. Petar gives her a quick, distracted kiss, his mind already on the Zara and Romford and his shopping list. I'll pick you up later, Maria. Try to forget this juvenile nonsense, he says, as he clenches his fist. The cacophony in the back seat resumes as soon as the door shuts and the car begins to pull away. Petar threatens to confiscate their phones if the erratic and energetic bickering lasts for the day. Arthur remains enthusiastic, but Aurora is on the brink of another loud and explosive outburst, feeling like her social life is in peril, and that this move to the Midlands is truly the absolute worst. As they wait for a traffic light to turn, Aurora gazes out the window with a look of pure, longing desire, her eyes lighting up at the sight of a red TfL bus, its engine humming with a steady and rhythmic fire. The Route 370 pulls up alongside them, followed by a 372, and for a moment, her loquacious rage is replaced by a meticulous fascination that is quiet and true. She adores the London diversity that these buses represent as they weave through the Essex streets. Beside the road, a duck pond reflects the malevolent sky, where the water and the pavement meets. Harlow, sitting in the back with the children, barks softly at the sight of the birds near the pond. Look, sir, nature and public transport in harmony, she remarks, of which she is quite fond. Aurora is barred from joy, for she knows such sights will soon be banned and banished from her sight. She is on the verge of tears, feeling the direst sadness about her upcoming, Birmingham-bound flight. Arthur remains oblivious, thinking only of the spacious new city and the school where he will go, while Aurora feels her heart sinking lower and lower into an abysmal and deep dark pocket of woe. The drive to Romford is a monumental trial of patience, as Petar explains the school plan once more, a lecture that Aurora has heard 1,000 times and finds to be an intolerable and repetitive bore. You're going to separate schools because Arthur misbehaved and you excelled at Honchurch. It's true, but Birmingham requires a different standard and a different path for the both of you. Arthur, you'll be radiant at George Salter, and Aurora, you'll attend Cockshut Hill for your year 8. It's for the best, you ungrateful wankers. So stop your whining and accept your new Midlands fate. Aurora is distraught, the news acting as the last straw for her already fragile and breaking heart. She is missing her year 7 celebration, and the thought of it is tearing her world completely apart. It's not fair. You're sabotaging my life, she screams, her voice cracking with a high-pitched, angry sound. Petar refuses to collaborate with her whining and keeps his eyes fixed on the gray asphalt ground. He reckons she's just being petulant and that her attitude is back to square one, where it always begins, while Arthur just sits there and smiles, feeling like he's the one who always, inevitably wins. Petar decides to make a call to Deaconess Sabina Patel, hoping to discuss the church's new itinerary, a task that he views as a vital part of his duty and his upcoming Birmingham-based ministry. He dials the number on his Sony Xperia, but unfortunately, the lady is not home to receive his call, a minor inconvenience that makes his frustration feel monumental, and not at all short or small. Hard luck, he mutters, his irritation exacerbated by the incessant, rhythmic and high-pitched ringing. He reckon he'll have to get in touch with her tomorrow when the Sunday bells are loudly swinging. The monotony of the drive is marring his mood, and the tedium of the children's bickering is nearly too much. If you lot don't pipe down, I'll confiscate those tablets, he warns, with a harsh and a pastoral touch. Aurora scowls, her pink glasses glinting with spite as she imagines escaping this black BMW prison, feeling like a fish out of water whose anger has, like the morning sun, quite remarkably arisen. She longs to elude this journey and run toward the Dagenham buses, where she can finally be free, away from her father's pastoral sanctions and the demise of the life she wanted to live and to see. They park at the Liberty Shopping Center in Romford, where the aircon is a reprieve from the heat, a brief and a blessed escape from the malevolent sun that's been baking the Essex pavement and street. The crowds are a diverse mix of Saturday shoppers, a cacophony of voices that echoes under the roof, as Petar leads the way with a meticulous pace, acting like he's entirely, completely bulletproof. We have to find Arthur's costume first, Petar declares, his blue glasses scanning the mall's directory, as he plans out their shopping trip with the precision of a man who is managing a whole rectory. Aurora sighs, her resentment reaching a pinnacle as she follows her father through the busy crowd. Why does he always get what he wants? This is proper shite, she mutters, her voice far from loud. Petar stops and turns, his face a mask of exacerbated fury that makes the nearby shoppers stop and stare. One more word from you, Aurora, and I'll deduct your allowance. I am serious, so don't you dare. You're on borrowed time, you little shit, so keep your mouth shut and do exactly as you are told. He chooses to prohibit further shouting as the family's chaos begins to once again loudly unfold. They enter Zara, the store a hive of Saturday activity where the fashion is contemporary and bright, a place where the clothes are stylish and the prices are high, bathed in the store's clinical white light. Petar's pastoral eyes search the aisles for the theatrical gear that Arthur needs for his Simba play, while Aurora drifts toward the girls' section, hoping to find something that will brighten her day. She catches a glimpse of a pink swirl dress that is radiant and soft, with a delicate, lace-covered hem. Can I have this, Dad? Please, it would complement my clips, she asks, reaching out for the gem. Petar looks at the dress, and then at his daughter, his expression shifting from indifference to a cruel disdain. You need to diet on the double, Aurora, he says, his voice a low and a sharp-witted pastoral strain. You're looking a bit too thick in the middle for that lace, and it's a big mistake to think you can pull it off. You're looking clapped, and I won't waste money on that, he says, finishing his sentence with a scoff. He will confiscate her dignity if she continues to request such atrocious and appalling, expensive things. As Aurora feels the sharp and the bitter sting that her father's callous, unfeeling language always brings, Arthur lets out an ecstatic cry as he finds the Lion King range, his green glasses practically glowing with joy. He pulls a Simba costume from the rack, a golden outfit that is perfect for a happy and enthusiastic boy. The fabric shimmers like a desert sun, and Arthur is elate at the prospect of playing the young Lion King. Look, Dad, it's perfect. I'll be the best king Birmingham has ever seen, and I'll make the whole city sing. Petar smiles, his pride in his son reaching a monumental peak as he looks at the boy's radiant, happy face. Try it on, Arthur. Let's see if it fits the star of the family, he says, with an uncharacteristic, warm grace. He buys the costume for a song, ignoring the way that Aurora's face falls as she watches the transaction. To her, this is a sour and a rotten turn of events, and she struggles to hide her deep and her bitter reaction. Petar forbids her from complaining, telling her the dress is out of bounds and completely out of the question, and that any further protest will obliterate her chances of dinner, a harsh and a pastoral suggestion. She feels out of the picture. While Arthur is the center of the world, his talent second to none in his father's eyes, while she is left to dwell on her father's insults and the Essex life that she knows is about to meet its demise, Arthur emerges from the changing room, the Simba costume a bit snug, but his confidence is absolute. He strikes a pose and lets out a juvenile roar, a performance that no one in the store could ever refute. "I'm radiant. I'm the king," he bellows, his black hair poking out from under the costume's golden hood, as he stands there in the middle of Zara, feeling more powerful and important than he ever thought he could. Petar nods with satisfaction, but Aurora looks at her reflection and feels a deep and a growing sense of shame, thinking of the dress that her father refused to buy, and the weight that he was so quick and so eager to blame. "I look like a pig," she whispers to herself as she watches her brother's ecstatic and lion-like display. Petar looks at her with a cold and a sharp-witted eye and tells her to stop the crying and walk away. "You're a nuisance, vandalizing our mood with your tears, and you don't even have the posture for that lace. Never mind the dress, just move your feet and get that miserable pouty look off your juvenile face." Arthur mimics a lion again, making matters worse, while Aurora feels less than she bargained for in this place, feeling like she is being erased from her family and that she is a total and an abysmal, clapped-out disgrace. "Petar, ay amigo, what a monumental surprise to find you here in Romford on a Saturday afternoon." It is Mr. Diaz, a man of great panache who greets Petar like he's a long-lost brother or a favorite boon. He is dressed impeccably, his presence a sharp-witted contrast to the chaotic energy of the Petrova clan, greeting Petar with a loquacious and a Castilian warmth that only a true and a loyal old friend ever can. "Diaz, it's been too long," Petar cries, his blue glasses reflecting his sudden and his ecstatic shift in mood. As the two men shake hands and begin to talk, ignoring the children who are being remarkably rude, their conversation is a diverse blend of Spanish and English as they catch up on their lives and their work. While Petar enjoys the chance to talk to an adult and forget about the daughter who's acting like a jerk, they speak of church business and other stuff and nonsense, as Petar reckon the move is a gift from above. While Mr. Diaz mentions his own plans are postponed and talks about the city that he has come to love, Aurora watches them, her protest revoked by the public setting, though she remains distraught and full of dismay, waiting for the chance to lash out at someone and ruin what is left of this humid and malevolent day. Beside Mr. Diaz stands his son, Alexis, who is 10.25 years old and looks perfectly neat. The picture of meticulous manners, with his hair combed back and his smart shirt looking tidy and sweet. His eyes are shy as he looks at the notorious Petrova children, sensing the tension that's in the Zara air, while Aurora eyes the boy with a malevolent and an unadulterated spite, and a cold and a calculating stare. She reckons she can take her anger out on someone smaller and make him feel as abysmal as she does right now, planning out her loquacious assault and wondering exactly when and exactly where and exactly how. "Hello, Alexis," Aurora says, her voice a sharp-witted and a cruel whisper that is meant to intimidate, as she leans toward the boy and prepares to unleash her deep and her growing, uncontainable hate. Alexis looks up, his expression innocent and shy, as he offers a soft and a quiet "hello" in return, oblivious to the fact that he is about to become the target of the fire that Aurora has been starting to burn. She lacks any sympathy for the boy and intends only to prolong his confusion and escalate his fear, as she prepares to whisper a crude and an appalling question into his small and his unsuspecting ear. Aurora leans in closer, her fake fringe brushing against her pink glasses as she prepares to strike, ready to say something so cruel and so notorious that it will be something that the boy will never like. "Tell me, Alexis," she sneers, her voice a low and a sharp-witted, loquacious assault on the boy's peace. "Are you still a bedwetter? Is that why you're wearing those babyish trousers with the elasticated crease? You're just a little cunt, aren't you? Do you still wear a nappy under there because you're scared of the dark?" She watches the boy's face, hoping to see her cruel and her appalling words leave a deep and a lasting mark. Alexis gasps, his face turning a radiant shade of red before fading to an abysmal and a ghostly white. The cruelty of the question is monumental, a blow that fills his sensitive and his young heart with fright. The situation has gone pear-shaped and went down south in an instant. As the boy's bottom lip begins to shake, this is the final straw for his peace, and a mistake that Aurora was more than happy and willing to make. No wonder he is terrified, for under no circumstances should a child be so vile or so incredibly mean. And the friendly meeting between the two fathers is about to become the most awkward and abysmal scene. Alexis bursts into tears, a high-pitched, inconsolable wail that rings out through the Zara aisles like a siren. His cries are a cacophony of distress that could melt the heart of even the coldest and most heartless tyrant. Papa, ella es mala. She called me a baby, he sobs, clinging to Mr. Diaz's blazer with a frantic air as he hides his face from the notorious girl and her malevolent and her cold and her calculating stare. Mr. Diaz's face turns a deep, infuriated maroon, his panache replaced by a father's righteous and burning rage, as he realizes that the girl has been acting like a bully and that it's time for him to take the center stage. Petar, what has your daughter said to my son? This is appalling behavior, he bellows for all to hear, while Petar's pastoral pride is decimated in a second, and he feels a deep and a sudden sense of fear. He looks at Aurora, who is standing there with a look of pure and silent spite on her juvenile face, realizing that she has ruined his reputation and turned the meeting into a monumental and total disgrace. Aurora, what did you do? He roars, as he realizes that the afternoon has taken a truly dismal turn, and that his daughter has a lot more about respect and about meticulous manners that she needs to learn. Out! Everyone out! Now! Petar commands, his voice a low, pastoral growl that vibrates with his anger. Realizing that his daughter's behavior has put his friendship and his reputation into a state of danger, they leave Zara in a flurry of shame, the diverse crowds watching their abysmal and their hurried exit, as Petar wonders how his daughter could be so cruel and how he is ever going to manage to fix it. They stop at the Sainsbury's at the brewery, where the air is thick with the scent of roasted chicken and bread, but the mood is sour and rotten, and everyone is filled with a deep and a growing sense of misery and dread. Petar is incensed, his blue glasses glinting with a sharp-witted and an erratic, energetic kind of fury, acting like a man who has already decided the verdict and doesn't need to listen to any kind of jury. You're banned from speaking for the rest of the day, he tells Aurora, as they walk through the clinical light, while the girl just scowls and looks at the floor, her pink lips shimmering with a quiet and a defiant might. It's a lackluster end to the afternoon, and the air is heavy with the stench of failure and of pastoral shame. As Petar realizes that his life in Essex is ending, and that his daughter is the one he's going to blame. They drive to Harold Hill and pull into the McDonald's, the Golden Arches a beacon of greasy, fast food hope, as Petar tries to find a way to manage his children and find a way to finally, successfully, pastorally cope. Inside, the restaurant is a diverse hive of activity, with people from all walks of life eating their lunch, while Petar orders a large Big Mac, a wrap of the day, and a chicken legend for his hungry, bickering bunch. Aurora pesters Petar again, her loquacious nature unable to cease even after everything that has been said. Can I have a bus ride to Dagenham, Dad? On the 174? She pleads, with a heart that is filled with dread. Petar eats his burger with a meticulous and an angry precision, his patience exacerbated by her constant pleas, feeling like he's been brought to his pastoral and his righteous and his fatherly and his weary knees. I will think about it, he says initially, but after a moment, he realizes that the answer must be a firm no. It's out of the question. You've been a nuisance all day, so it's back to Springfield, and that is where we will go. His veto is absolute, and he will not replicate her joy or give her the red TFL bus ride that she wants so much. as he finishes his meal and prepares to leave the McDonald's with a harsh and a final, pastoral touch. The drive back to Springfield is a tense and a silent journey, the pathetic fallacy of the clouds above, reflecting the abysmal mood in the BMW, and the fact that the house is currently devoid of any kind of love. They pick up Marija from her reunion in West Thurrock, her orange clothes now looking a little bit rumpled and old. "How was the shopping?" she asks, but the silence she receives in return is remarkably, intensely, pastorally cold. Petar doesn't answer, his blue glasses fixed on the road ahead as the first drops of rain begin to fall. While Aurora stares out the window and feels like she's about to hit a monumental and a final Essex wall. She reckons her life is over and that she is headed for a notorious and a lonely existence in the city of Birmingham, while Arthur just sits there with his Simba costume, feeling as happy and as content as a young golden lamb. At home, the scent of the morning's curry still lingers in the air, a reminder of the feast they had before the day went south. And Aurora feels a bitter and a sour and a rotten taste beginning to fill her loquacious and her defiant mouth. They enter the house as the rain begins to pour, and the air is heavy with the scent of wet pavement and of gloom. As Aurora prepares to head upstairs and spend the rest of the evening alone in her quiet and her lonely room. Aurora slips into the kitchen, her pink glasses glinting with a malevolent and a sharp-witted and a cruel intent, thinking of a way to get back at her brother and make sure that the day's frustrations are finally, fully spent. She finds a pack of shortbread on the counter and a glass jug filled with water, and she knows exactly what to do, planning a monumental and a destructive act that will make her father's pastoral face turn an even deeper blue. With a sudden shove, she accidentally knocks the jug over, and the glass shatters with a cacophony that echoes through the room. While Kiev the ginger cat leaps away from the destruction, his green eyes filled with a sharp and a sudden gloom. Aurora then stomps on the shortbread, her pink clips shaking as she grinds the buttery biscuits into a fine and a dusty mess, before letting out a fake and a juvenile, and a high-pitched wail of what she hopes will look like a real distress. "Arthur, no! Why would you do that?" she screams, her voice a loquacious and a lying assault on her brother's good name, planning to frame him for the destruction and ensure that he is the one who has to carry all of the fatherly blame. She reckons she can salvage her reputation by making him the villain, and she will not shun the chance to see him fall. As she stands there in the middle of the kitchen and prepares to lie to her parents once and for all, Maria and Petar rush into the kitchen, and Maria lets out a cry of despair at the sight of the broken jug and the mess. "My shortbread! My beautiful glass jug," she wails, as she looks at the destruction with a deep and a growing distress. Aurora points a trembling finger at Arthur and tells her parents that he is the one who is responsible for the crime. But Petar just looks at her with a cold and a sharp-witted eye and tells her that it's the end of the line and the time. He pulls out his phone and shows her the footage from a camera that he installed in the kitchen only the day before. A meticulous and a calculated move that shows Aurora knocking the jug over and stomping on the biscuits on the floor. "You're caught red-handed, Aurora. You're grounded for a month, and there will be no TFL buses and no phone for you," he tells her with a pastoral boom, as her facade of innocence and of juvenile deceit finally, completely, breaks in two. Arthur smiles, proved right, as Aurora is banished to her room, inconsolable and truly bereft, and full of a deep and a dark dismay, realizing that her plan has backfired, and that she has truly and finally hit rock bottom on this malevolent July day. The journey ends in total disgrace, and the final nail in the coffin of her Essex life is finally, pastorally, driven home as the Petrova family prepares for the move to Birmingham and the rainy night begins to settle over the Springfield dome.